Hello. I think I'm good. I think the audio's on. Hello. Oh, yep. Just a pretty long delay. All right. Couple of things on the agenda for today. Tell him Freddie sent you hello. Freddie, hey Dennis, how's it going? So I'm going to be doing a bunch of things today. Slash, what's going on? First, I'm testing this new Elgato Facecam Pro. Hey, Jan, how's it going? So I'm going to see if I'm going to be testing this in the this Wednesday's podcast as well, just to see how it holds up. I really liked the Razer Keo Razer, whatever, but it doesn't do 4K 60, and that's how I'm able to crop certain shots. But I think the lens is better, so we'll see on this one. But I'm also going to be testing a MiSTer I/O board and transplanting it over to that computer I worked on the other day that I said I'm definitely not going to be changing for at least a couple of months. Yeah, welcome to my constant nerding. So this is a one of what you would expect a standard MiSTer I/O board to be. Thousands and thousands of these things were sold. These were the things I had said performed not very well from the analog output side. Not dangerous, but not very well. And of course, the moment I implied that, I didn't say it. That video I just put up yesterday was 100% positive, but I've been getting trolled incessantly. So I am going to take this board right now and show you all what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to transplant this to another computer because I really just want this board for the OSD and for the analog audio output, and that's it. I'm not going to be using the video output. I'll explain why when I get to that point. So this is actually going to be the perfect use for one of these old boards, repurposing it for not using its video output. And we'll kind of just go from there. So I will be checking the chat as much as I possibly can. Yo, what's up, Belmont? No, you're right on time. What's up, Ariel? So I'll jump into testing. Yadagaris, what do I think about MiSTer Cade? I like it. I like it a lot. I've never said a single bad thing about the MiSTer Cade, absolutely ever. It does have probably some voltage discrepancies like this does, but like I explained in that video yesterday, that's way different in an arcade machine. Because if you are putting a JAMA board in an arcade machine, whether it's a MiSTer or two different arcade games, you're constantly going to be tweaking the geometry, the centering. It's not like a consumer TV. They were meant to be displayed one game at a time. So if there is a discrepancy in the video output in the MiSTer Cade, I personally do not think it matters. It's also held up for years in pretty abusive environments, so zero negative things to say about the MiSTer Cade. The Retro Castle one's just as good though, which is not an insult to MiSTer Cade. It is what it is. So nothing bad whatsoever. So, all right, let's plug this sucker in. I have this set up with my older, with this one, which hopefully you'll all recognize now. I just pulled the SD card out of this one. This is that awesome dual RAM module one. And why are we not? Oh, so connecting to the VGA monitor. It's set to direct video now. I don't think this is going to matter whatsoever because we're using the I/O board, but I'm going to have the HDMI output set for just standard 1080p. And then I'll show you, I'll do a screenshot in a minute because you'll see what I'm getting at with this plugged in directly. So I'm going to go to, let's just say the Super Nintendo core. It doesn't really matter, but one with the HD RetroVision test suite or with the 240p test suite, that's all you need. By the way, that's the Uber Yoji boot ROM. How cool is that? I'm using that in all my videos from now on. His work's awesome. So we are loading the HD RetroVision test ROM. 100% color bars. So now we are taking the VGA output. We're going into QWERTY Moto's RG Bench, which has 75 ohm resistance termination turned on, and that's going directly into the scope with nothing else. Anybody that thinks this is not a proper test method is insane. So this is about as good as it gets. So let me do a shot of sync and show you the first thing that you have to worry about. And this is something I've talked about before. This is not anybody's fault. This isn't a problem. This is just something that you have to know about, which is yet another reason why I like the Retro Castle cases. But Ultra Sigma, here we go. And any questions anybody has, please feel free to fire away. This is technical stuff. I'm skipping through it really fast simply because I've already gone over how to do these things in other videos. So I just want to make sure that I just skip to the point to save everybody time. And then we kind of just go from there. Uh-oh, Ultra Sigma froze again. If my PC freezes, just give me a second, stay on this stream, and I will just log back into it when it reboots. It'd be great if I could make it more than 2 minutes into a stream without that happening, though. All right. I'm going to label these too in case anybody wants to have these later. I want to make sure that I have everything standard. I'll just call this MiSTer IO sync. All right, so if you all look, the second measurement from the bottom that says 1.230 volts, BY minus AY. Every VGA port MiSTer IO board will run at this voltage. Probably direct video might too. This is not a problem. This is not anybody's fault. This is not a complaint. This is just, it's how sync is going to work with MiSTer, which is why I always do things like, actually, I'll drop this link in the chat too. Yeah. So that's why I always write articles like this, beware of MiSTer SCART cables. It's not anything against the MiSTer project. It's not anything against any MiSTer hardware vendor at all. It's not, the only thing that you need to know is that when you're going through something like this, when you're going from VGA out, you're getting the higher voltage sync. And that's why you need something like the HD15 discart to drop it to a safer voltage. Now, 1.2 volts on sync under load, it's probably fine, but I don't take those risks. That's not a risk that I think is worth taking. So I'm going to retune this here. All right, good enough. So let me show you with the HD15 discart. You see that same measurement is now 306 millivolts, which is perfect. It's high enough to be detected by absolutely everything, but it's nowhere near the highest levels. So that is why I always say, every case, the Retro Castle case, every other VGA output, you always have to make sure that if you're going into SCART equipment, the sync is at the proper voltage. Now, if you're going directly into like a Sony PVM or BVM, it's going to be fine. You just use a VGA to BNC cable. If you're going VGA out to a VGA monitor, that's totally fine. This is specifically for SCART equipment. So that's something that I wanted to make sure that I was very clear about before we move on to the other testing stuff. Yeah, Belmont, it's one of those things where I hate to sound like such a pompous douche, but if you just listen to the suggestions that myself and the trusted people in the community have, you never have to worry about SCART. It's when you start trying to do custom things or you start trying to mess with it in a different way, then you start to run into issues. So if you wanted to use SCART with a MiSTer and you weren't really sure what to do, just get a VGA cable and the HD15 discart, or use the other links that I posted, and you don't have to think about it at all. All right, so we're going back into the scope, and now I'm going to go to the red line for this one. Sorry for hogging the camera here. All right, so let me take a screenshot of what the red line looks like. All right, so you see this. Everybody is seeing this clear as day. 792 millivolts on the red line. You could argue that maybe I spaced it out a bit too much. I could probably take 10 more samples and they'll all be a few millivolts off. So let's just call this 790. That's too high. And I showed it in the video. I will show it again in this one. But this is the complaint that I've had. The biggest MiSTer vendor on the planet has sold thousands and thousands of these and ignored all suggestions to maybe don't sell them like that. So that's what I didn't say in the video, that I'm just tired of being trolled. So you could call me a drama person, you could accuse me of whatever you want. This oscilloscope isn't going to lie, especially when I show you what comes next. This is actually kind of funny. I didn't realize this one was going to be this off, but okay. Well, I shouldn't say that this off. That's not fair. You'll see what I mean in a minute. All right, changing this. This is green. And it's 10 millivolt discrepancy. Now, I showed in that video an example of your average analog video console that has a discrepancy about the same. You're not going to see this difference. So the high voltage is still a problem, without a shadow of a doubt. It's not going to hurt your equipment. It's not going to cause issues. You're not going to blow out. There's zero safety issues, assuming you don't do anything stupid. If you throw your MiSTer kit in your bathtub, right? Assuming, or weird things like you got one with a solder glob from the factory that shorts, which I've never actually heard of at all. So, crazy things aside, this is never going to hurt your system, but 800 millivolts is not good. The discrepancy of about 790 to about 800, you're never going to see that with your human eye. So that's not a problem. It's something to note that the Retro Castle cases didn't do this. So let's move on to the next color and go from there. And anybody can feel free to troll me all you want. You could make up any crazy lie or story about me like people have been doing. You cannot debate this. There is one thing you can debate, but I will get to that in about 4 or 5 minutes. All right. So one other thing I'm going to mention now is my fault, and it doesn't matter. I'll explain that in a second. So, and this is just kind of a fun tidbit for anybody who's ever looking at scope plots and stuff like this. So here is the green that I just showed. And look at the distance between the top and the bottom. Not the voltage, but just the distance. I'm going to switch this over to blue. And see how it looks like it's taller? That means nothing. That's my inability to use a scope as well as everybody else. All that matters, or zoom in to the same accuracy of the rest. All that matters is that the top and bottom line are within reason. So I probably could have centered the image better because the top line is touching, but the bottom isn't. So let's call it the same 790. So the discrepancy between blue, red, and green does not matter. And I would never, ever talk shit about anybody whose output was 1% different. That is fine. The fact that it's 790 is the issue. Ha! Ian, historical nerd, thank you so much for the super chat. Personally, Ian only takes baths with his MiSTer and maybe a toaster. That is very freaking funny, my friend. So here's what I'm going to do next, just to show the why this matters. I know I already showed it, but I want to do this live on stream with no interruptions in real time, so nobody could accuse me of skewing results or anything like that. And I'm really sorry to take it out on all of you amazing people who come into this live stream and hang out with me. You are not the people I'm complaining about, but you're the people who I care the most, that you know I'm not lying. So sorry that hopefully this is something you'd find interesting and not be like, for fuck's sake, Bob, nobody cares. All right. So here we have the absolutely awesome, hasn't gotten any less cool just because new stuff is out, open source scan converter. And I'm specifically going to use the OSSC and not any of the tinks because I want exactly what's coming in, going out. I don't want any correction or anything like that. So I'm using the HD15 discart because, as we have learned just now at the beginning of the stream, that's how you safely connect SCART equipment. And let me get this input in, and then I will share my screen so you can see what I'm seeing. Oh, what's up, Shadow Mask? Steve, what's going on? I'm getting rude, Steve. All right, so that is HD RetroVision Test Suite. Let's set the output to 5x. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad you're feeling better. All right, so let's switch over and go to 240p Test Suite. Test patterns, color bars. Now, I'm going to take a screenshot so that you all could see, but unless video streaming has ruined this, you could see that the last two between E and F are gone. So let me fire up the app. The example I showed in the video was at 850 millivolts, and I have seen MiSTer kits at 850. Not a lot, though. This is by far the more common result, but the other one is not something I made up. That was legit. All right, so screenshot. Let me drop this in. Oh, it's perfect. All right, so I'm going to show. Let me open up Photoshop and double this in size. All right, my computer's chugging along with all of the stuff running at the same time. So I'll drop this down. Here we go. Let me see if I could do this without crashing everything. I don't know if you're able to see that. You're not. That stinks. Let me just try something else then. All right, good enough. So see here, DEF. Let me zoom in. You could sort of see that, but let's check brightness and contrast. So you get D back, but you don't get these last two. It's worse on green because green was a little bit higher, and blue I think is the I think that's just, it's not that bad. I think that's probably my monitor or something. I don't know if you all could see it on stream, but I could see the steps on blue the same as I did red. But yeah, so that's what happens when you're at the higher voltage. You lose data that can't be gotten back. Now, once again, that's not going to be the same with analog sources. So going into your CRT is not going to be this drastic, to the point where I would honestly say, respectfully, if you're using like a D-sub to component video cable going into a consumer grade CRT, I don't think that you would run into any major issues. Maybe you'd lose a little bit of data, but honestly, I think for the most part, everything should just be fine and work the way that you would expect. So I wouldn't consider that a problem at all. But now, here's the thing that I wanted to show everybody, because here's where my fellow nerds could have a problem with what I just did. What if my scope isn't fully calibrated correctly? What if there's other issues going on that maybe I'm not aware of? So that's why I'm going to repeat the exact same tests on this dual RAM MiSTer kit, using the exact same everything, just to show you all. I might be an asshole, but I'm not full of shit. So, back up here. And then we'll get to the fun stuff where I transplant it into the thing that I said I wasn't going to touch for months, but now I'm definitely going to. All right, I get that set up. I need my micro SD back. Same micro SD, same network connection through RetroNAS to boot my ROMs. Everything is going to be identical. The only difference is going to be the Saturn output cable, which is going to be fine. It's not going to make a difference. And I need power. All right. Here we go. My wireless keyboard sometimes loses connection. There we go. All right. Going into Super NES. Tools and service. We're going back into the HD RetroVision. Now, the reason I use this instead of an all-white screen is because the wavelengths look different. So just by looking at the scope plot, you could tell what's red, green, or blue, but this is identical. However, if you disagree or if you don't believe that this is correct, this is why we're doing it again, apples to apples comparisons here. So I'm going to take this SCART cable, and here's the first reason why I've always loved the Retro Castle cases. You plug a properly built Saturn cable into it. Properly built is always a key thing to say. Single this out. Okay. Bringing up the scope shot now. Hey Mark, yeah, you could lose a lot of time just in settings, and it's worth it because when you dial in your settings and then you save them to just that button, just the auto button, it's just, I love it. All right, so here is, where's image? 444 millivolts on sync when using a properly built Sega Saturn SCART cable. Now, this is, once again, not a dig against the I/O board, against any of the VGA ports. This is not anything negative. It's just a simple matter of, if you want to use SCART equipment, you grab the Saturn Retro Castle case, you grab a Saturn SCART cable, and you just don't think about it. You don't think about any of this stuff. It's already there. That doesn't mean the other ones are wrong. It just simply means that it's less for people to worry about if they know for a fact that they're going to RGB SCART. So let's go back. Now let's get to colors. I wish I could say that this was a creative way to pimp my hoodies, but I really am just too lazy to keep moving the cameras when I'm showing you the scope plot in a second anyway. All right. I think that's lined it up. Lined it up? I think that's lined up. All right, switching over. So that's red, 712 millivolts, which is as perfect as you're going to get. I honestly wouldn't expect that on every Retro Castle case. I would expect around 700, but that's perfect. I mean, that's exactly what it should be. So let's just keep going, just to go through. Try to do it sideways. Turn off the other one. So you all see I'm actually doing this. Just trying to line up the measurements as best as I can to make them fair. All right, green. We're at, it says 720. I probably didn't get the bottom measurement right, but even if I did, it is within far less than 1% of a difference. It is over 714, but that could be my scope. It could be a whole bunch of things. It could actually be at the proper voltage. However, this is the reason why I wanted to do this. Let's just say the weather changed overnight and my scope went crazy and I'm reading 20 millivolts over what I should. The other ones are still way higher than they should be. So even if this is a 10, 20 millivolt discrepancy, we're still fine. So let me make sure that I do the last one just for the hell of it. So. Oh, I didn't hear about that RAM thing. That sucks. There's a I remember what happened years ago was there was somebody bragging about ripping people off for RAM modules on eBay. And then when we called them out, they created like 20 accounts online and made it look like they actually did a pretty brilliant job changing the narrative on that. But that's actually one of the reasons why, and listen, credit where credit's due. That was like the Wild West of MiSTer when people were selling absolute garbage and people were ripping people off. And there's zero sarcasm when I say MiSTer Add-ons stepped up, kept things in stock, and never, ever, ever sold garbage or ripped people off. Just because the cases weren't at the right voltage and he refused to fix them and still sold thousands. That's the problem I had. What is not a problem is the customer service and the ability to keep this stuff in stock, especially at a time where there were so many people just not knowing that they weren't making good stuff, you know, innocently thinking that their stuff was quality, not realizing, not testing, certainly not putting it on a scope and doing the basic tests like this. So that's why I always promoted the MiSTer add-on stuff, and that's why I stand by for the time those promotions. But this is why I no longer, because now we have blue, also 712 volts. So let's show the output of this. I'm going to have to reboot for this. Hold on one second. So, am I? No, I think I can go right into the OSSC. Yeah. Yeah, we're good. So no settings have been changed whatsoever on the OSSC. Nothing. Just going in. All right, snap a screenshot. That wasn't a screenshot, that was a recording. Oops. All right, got this. All right, so that is, here is the first one that I showed, and now here is the Retro Castle one. I don't know if compression is ruining this for you all, but I could see all of the steps. I'm really sorry if my screenshot or my screen capture compression. F is looking a little weird here, but yeah, I'm looking through my OBS window and it's not looking right. So I'll put these up for people to analyze themselves. You don't have to, you certainly don't have to believe me here. Let's cross out of here. So there you go. I can turn the scope off. So when you see people trolling me, saying that I'm making up drama, saying that I'm being paid to promote something else, or I'm paying people to promote, so I don't remember what that was. Now you see, even if I made mistakes in my testing, even if my scope stuff wasn't the way it was supposed to be, it still was an apples to apples comparison showing how much higher the output is. And like I said in the video, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe if you're using a you know, just a basic quality CRT, you'll be fine. Maybe you know, maybe you'd be able to, if you have a dedicated MiSTer CRT, you could calibrate around it, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. There's certainly no safety issues. That's another thing I want to be clear about. But now you could definitely see that going into your average CRT, you're going to be losing information, and you can't really get it back without some serious calibrating to get both the brightness and gray levels correct. Because that's the other thing I didn't go into was Kuro's DAC testing. And the only reason I didn't, well, the two reasons I didn't is because the video was already too long. That performance testing shouldn't have really been in there. If it wasn't for all the trolling that's been going on, especially behind the scenes, I wouldn't have even included it. But I needed to show my work to make sure that people know without a doubt that I'm being honest about this stuff. So it was already too long, but I also want to do a podcast with Kuro and hopefully my friend Tech as well, digging in and going into not MiSTer stuff, that, you know, just in general for people who really care to learn. And I mean that in a very positive way, a zero dig, like nothing but love kind of way, like people who are actually interested in the real technical explanations as to why things like black levels and gray levels actually matter if you care about quality. Once again, if you found a CRT on the side of the road with component inputs, you plug it in and it works, you're fine. Yeah, I just want to make sure, I just repeat one more time, there are no safety issues at all from the original I/O boards Doesn't matter what vendor you got it from. If you plug it in and it works, you don't have to worry about anything. If there was a safety issue, it would be because of something crazy, like a freak occurrence. You know, a solder blob in manufacturing. I mean, something that's not anybody's fault really. So let's take this stuff apart. Jay, yes, 100%. So the question is, with the cheap high tolerance components Sega and Nintendo used to use, did that result in original hardware losing video information from overvoltage or similar issues? Yeah, all over the place though. I've seen stuff as low as 620, and as the one-chip SNESs are the highest at about 750 is the average for those. So you do end up getting the image washed out a little bit, but that's another reason why I really like using some of the RGB bypasses. Because if you put like a Voltar board in a one-chip SNES, you don't need to do that. It already outputs RGB. There's absolutely no need for that, except the bonus is that they're all at better levels and they're all closer together because Voltar uses 1% tolerant resistors instead of 5% tolerant resistors like Nintendo did. And in Nintendo and Sega's defense, in the technology we had back then, you would have never seen the difference. They would have wasted $1 million to try to get quality up for a fraction of a percent of people at that time. So I don't think it was necessary for original consoles to have it. But if you've taken the time to buy a BVM and calibrate it, then this stuff actually matters. If you got your parents' TV from the 80s that somehow still works, especially if you're using like RF, it's not going to matter. I mean that with love. So, all right, let me take this thing apart. So, when I did this stream the other day, I said I'm going to leave this as is and not touch it for a couple of months. And you all could absolutely point and laugh at me because that is not at all what's happening. We're just a few days later, and we are back at it. And let me check the chat real quick. Shane, what's up? I will be tateing in about 15 minutes. So here's what I decided the other day. By the way, I loved that stream. I know it was not my most exciting, but I really enjoyed the hell out of that. So thank you for people who hung out for it. I realized a couple of things. First of all, this Retro Castle case has the RGB to S-Video and composite converter, not the Mic S version. So this could actually be extremely helpful for other things, and I shouldn't just use it like that. But also, meaning I'll be using this in my testing on a regular basis. But also, I should really be testing more direct video, because I've stumbled across cores that don't work at all with it, like the new Genesis core. So I want to make sure I continue to test that, because anybody that would buy a dual RAM version for analog would have to only use direct video. So I want to put more time into that so I could reach out to any of the core devs and just mention, hey, maybe you could add this to it, which I always feel like a piece of shit doing because these people work their butts off. And here I am just asking for things. But, you know, it is what it is. Let's see if I can get away with doing this without taking the whole thing out and just taking these top standoffs. I might be able to. Oh yeah, I could take that out and make it a little easier. Two more to go. By the way, if you were here for just the scope testing and to prove that I'm not a lying piece of shit, you could drop off now, because now this is, in my opinion, the fun stuff. If you're not a nerd, you're going to wonder why I'm boring everybody to death again. But I want to continue to repurpose this, and then I want to show you how I play Tate games now. And if Steve from RetroTech is still around, I'll also show him a weird thing that was happening that I didn't know if it was a result of me Tateing it or if I'm just being a moron and need some help. All right, let me... RAM stick removed. Ooh, up there. Now, there is no bridge on this, so I'm not about to rip something out, thank God. No pins bent, total success. As you saw in the video, sweeping that back because I'm just doing analog output, and I'll actually move that on this one just so I know. Let me fire up my soldering iron and move this over. This was the, what I'm doing now is simply tapping into the OSD button in order to access that from my front button. And, okay. All right, 1, 2, so this one's out. I will, at the end of the stream, I will put back the other Retrocast case and test it just for the hell of it, but that'll just be a wind down thing. All right, so we need to put RAM module back in. This side faces outward. Okay, put this in here. Let me make sure this lines up. Oh, I didn't test it with the VGA port. I hope I don't have to take this all out. Oh, that would suck if I had to disassemble everything. I'm just gonna, no, I think I can get it. That was some creative wiggling. Alright, I think I got it all. I think all the pins are in. Nothing's askew. I got lucky. Alright. I don't have to make these super tight or anything. I'm just gonna... Basics. I used to have the perfect size screwdriver that would go right over these. I probably couldn't get it around the metal anyway, but we'll just wiggle it in. You know, I probably should plug the fan in that I have for this thing. Let me see. My wildest feature request was asking if 2 MiSTers using the 2x GBA could link up just for the sake of 4 swords. So I'm half talking out my ass here, so please don't quote me on this. Smarter people like Robert would have to chime in. But I think with that situation, what you would actually need is a link cable connecting 2 snack ports together. And it's theoretically possible, but not available yet. Now, I could be completely wrong. Maybe it's already in the core and I forgot. Maybe I've just never tried. You could use the 2-player one, but I don't know if there's a hack for 4 swords or something like that. All right, let's get this out and put that fan in. I should have done that first. I'm sorry. I forgot this model didn't have one. Come on. Alright, I got the fan kit here. I don't need any of these bridges and shit. What else I got? Yeah, I don't need any of that crap. I just need this. I know a lot of people that built some pretty crazy setups just to be able to do 4 swords tournaments or something like that. I always thought that was really neat. I don't think I've ever played the game in that way before, and if I have, it was only for like a second just to see what it was all about. All right, bit of heat sink, some isopropyl. All right. Let that dry. Oh, interesting. Lemonici said Robert once mentioned not owning any physical Game Boy Advances and not wanting to ask for multiple, just to add a snack feature, which is usually handled by other devs anyway. That's pretty cool. Maybe somebody else would be willing to take a look at that just to see. Right. So I know I said this last time, but after I install this, I don't plan on messing with this MiSTer at all. I plan on leaving it on my Tate setup and not really messing with it unless there's like a Tate game that requires dual core or something. But even then, I think I would just leave this in its place and only bring the other MiSTer over when I needed it. God, I hate these things. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need my glasses just to take off a label. Getting old sucks, everybody. Why can't some cores do YC? So the way that you used to get S-Video was by getting one of Ivory's kits that did the conversion. But ever since the Mic S cores have been implemented, all you need to do is change the MiSTer INI file. However, there's still a few cores that don't have the code implemented. The major cores all do, but I know Arkanoid doesn't, which I was kind of waiting for because I like that game, and a few others. But all right. I think it should go the other way. I think those might stick out slightly less on the bottom. Yeah, probably. The label is always the outer direction for fan speeds, right? Air always blows towards the label. Isn't that what it should be? You know, I guess we have plenty of room up top. Why not just do it on top like this? That's not going to hurt anything. Make it easier. Yeah, got it. All right. My old eyes, struggling. I'm probably not doing this right, but remember, we're not putting it in a tiny enclosed MiSTer case. We're putting it in a giant small form factor PC. So I think this is going to be more than good enough. Plugged in, ready to go. Let's wiggle this back in, power it on, and solder 2 wires, and we should be done. Okay, pins lined up here, pins lined up there. In, get the RAM module in. All right. Plug this sucker in. It is spinning in the correct direction. I'm going to use the I/O board that's in here just to get things up and running, and then I'm going to add a direct video solution later to it. But I could do that after it's already hooked up to the Tate machine, so we could just give it a second for now and use it to test. All right, we have, it's just off screen, but we can't see it. Steve said the mic YC isn't compatible with the hardware that does the RGB to composite and Y conversion that Antonio sells. Yeah, so Antonio sells a lot of stuff that's customized to work with just what he does. Now, that is not an insult. It's also not a compliment. No offense whatsoever, but he likes to build stuff for his own infrastructure. He had some pretty interesting ideas on the VGA port and how to include other stuff in there. All right, that's all I needed, those 2 pins. So no shade at all. I just that's one of those things where if you buy, this is probably going to come across negative. I don't mean it this way at all. But if you buy a retro castle case, you get yourself an RGB SCART cable, or you get yourself like a composite video cable, and you set your software up, you don't ever have to think about it again. Whereas if you buy the custom solution with the custom stuff in it, and you sell yours or you forget, somebody else is going to have to know that it's Antonio's kit. So if they do, awesome. You have all these features and you know how to use it and everything's cool. But if they don't, that's where the problem lies. So I would say Antonio's kits are for more advanced stuff, more advanced users, which, obviously it's not a bad thing. Half the people listening are probably advanced users. But it's just like when people mod their consoles and it disables composite video. I always like to tell people, put some painter's tape on the bottom and write on it, this console has been RGB modded. It won't work with, it works fine, just not with composite. That way, when you die and somebody's at your estate sale, they don't throw your Genesis in the garbage because you triple bypassed it, not thinking that it's, or thinking that it doesn't work right. Jeez, I guess I need my glasses for this too. I went to one of those myeyedoctor.com last year in order to get these glasses, and I was asking about different ways to get my eyesight back, and they so conveniently basically said that the only thing that I could do is buy the stuff that they sell in their stores, and there is no other treatment for what I have. So please excuse me if I'm a bit skeptical and want to get another opinion. So I gotta find a different eye doctor to try that out. Oop. I definitely think they got worse from last year, though, which is scary. All right, nice and snug. Oh, this one. Doesn't look it, but nice and snug. All right. We are almost at the fun part where I start tateing things. Let me just plug this back in and verify that the OSD button still works. And then I'll start buttoning this thing up. All right, we are booted. Yeah. And I guess the only other thing I have to do is add the USB hub back. Uh-oh. Oh no, is this not going to work because of the stupid USB hub? No, this has got to work. This has got to be something weird. Yeah, no, everything's got to be working. The LED light is not on the button anymore, but that's... The LED rarely worked on this power button anyway, so that's got to be something else, I think. Yeah, I'm not going to sweat that as much because when I started that stream the other day, I said one of these didn't have a working LED light and the other one did, so that must have been it. I could check with a multimeter super quick just because I'm already here, but I have a feeling I'm just going to call it no LED light in the front. Steve, the TLDR is if you're using HDMI, there is no problem, period. Obviously, I mean that in a nice way. So it's only with analog video output, and it only matters if quality is important to you. And that is not a dig. It's just as simple as if you have a consumer CRT you found that you've done no work to that has component input, you're not going to see the difference. I am getting 5 volts to this, so it's just the LED is weird, by the way. The only time this really matters is when you have like a calibrated PVM or BVM. You could definitely start to see the difference. I kind of go over it in the video as well. My problem wasn't the voltage discrepancy, it was the complete and utter refusal to do anything about it, period, end of story. For years. That was the upsetting part. So basically, once another vendor came around that actually really cared and was awesome to work with and still is, that's when I was like, okay, I can't keep promoting these. The customer service is great, they're in stock, the build quality's fine, I can't keep promoting stuff that's not as good with a developer that has no desire to change them. And I just, I still stand by the recommendation at the time, because there's no safety issue whatsoever, but it's time to move on. And especially after the trolling started, you're not supposed to take business stuff personal, but when you've made somebody tens of thousands of dollars and they ignore any advice and then start weird rumors, then I'm out. That's when I start to get, this stream. That's when this stream happens. You're all welcome to think less of me. Nicer people wouldn't have done this, but I'm never pretended to be nicer people. Come on, one more standoff. Go in nice and easy. If I'm ever super bored one day, like stuck in line at the DMV board, I might look for another switch for the front of this thing, because that one's all yellowed plastic anyway. I might try to look up and see if these switches are still made, just to get the LED working and to get it less yellowed. Although the yellow almost makes it feel like an authentic console, huh? And note to self, which means note to everybody listening to please remind me later, I have to swap these when I put them in the retro castle case, the bigger ones on the bottom. Alright. I think. No, they're good as is. I saw that wrong. Wasn't wearing my glasses. Gross that I say that out loud now. No offense to anybody who wears glasses. I just never needed them until now, which is why it's depressing me. All right, case on. I guess let me check the chat before I put the case on. One of my friends is probably in there right now going, "You forgot to plug in the thing." So the Mikey, all you would need is an active YC adapter. Retro Castle sells them. The other store sells them. I can't imagine there's anything bad about those. So that's it. You need to, but then you also need to set the INI file to S-Video. And I think that's it. Oh, Alex, I think once I get used to them, I'd be fine. I think the issue is I've gone 41 years without needing glasses. I'm 42 now. And now I need them, so now I have to adjust my life to them, which, you know, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. All right. That's looking good. That's looking a little ridiculous, but I don't care. This is... If anybody wants to hear the very boring story as to why this thing matters to me, I'm not going to make everybody sit through it again. I went through it in the other live stream. All you need to know is this weird-looking box is actually important to me, even if it looks silly. All right. Plug this back in. Other screw, almost done. All right, put that aside, plug in my Bluetooth. I think it's time to Tate, everybody. I think we're there. Steve, are you still there in the chat? I'm going to move this over so I could have room to do that. Actually, I think I'm just going to, yeah, let me do this instead. Because that's already plugged in with power. I want Steve to see this boot, so if he's not in the chat, I'm going to text him or something. And then the very final things we'll do is switch it to direct video. Oh, you're here. All right, great. Other Steve, glad you're here too. All right. Hopefully this weird cable contraption thing I'm using isn't going to mess with this too much, but I guess we'll find out in a minute. So the issue I was having, completely unrelated to MiSTer, is after I moved this thing on its side, it like flickers when I first boot, and then after warming up it doesn't. This is an A20. I believe this is one I got from a friend of mine. So... all right, let me plug it in first, and then we'll go from there. And for now, I'm still just going to be using the standard I/O board, and I will move it over to direct video before the stream is over. And then I'll end the stream just by putting the retro castle case back together, because I have a feeling I'm going to be using that quite a bit for some more testing. All right, powering this sucker up. I have it all connected to one switch. So the MiSTer's on, I could hear that going. DVM's coming up. It's on operate, went to solid. So the degaussing after powering up, I'm assuming that's fine. It sounded like it was proper. By the way, Shane, if you're in here, maybe you could assist with this. I've asked a few times, but I didn't really get an answer. On the reason I don't have the main menu Tate anymore is because it gets rid of the top thing, which means I can't see if it's connected to Wi-Fi or not. So I keep the main menu on its side, and then once in game, I have the menu rotated. Do you know if there's a way to add this back when the main menu is in rotation mode? All right, I got the Neo Geo pad. Steve, it's not doing it. I feel like that old lady who goes to her mechanic saying, "Oh wait, no, we're doing it. It just did it." Let me leave it on the screen for a minute or two. See if it gets twitchy. All right, everybody, close your eyes. I'm going to adjust the camera, and it's going to get wiggly. Or adjust the tripod, I should say. All right. That's funny, Belmont. If I had the room, I would have just a black and white one sitting there for old movies and old TV shows and stuff like that. All right. Let me boot into a game and then come back. And Shane, I could also adjust the INI file super quick. Let me 180. Yeah, while we're watching this thing, waiting for it to twitch, let me do that. All right, Shane, I might have to do that right now then. Let me demonstrate what I mean. I'm going to feel like such an ass if this thing doesn't keep... Ah! Twitched again. Twitched again. All right, so I have at the bottom of my MiSTer INI file a separate setting for menu, which is why I have... so let me OSD rotate that too. All right. All right, so this is what I was talking about. Ah, twitched again. There is no bar at the top that shows that there is Wi-Fi working. Does your MiSTer INI setting, Shane, fix that? Turn it off and reseat all the boards while it's in its Tate position. I'm going to do that right now. All right. Where's the power on this? Over here. All right. Power off. I'm just going to give that a quick second. Thank you, Shane. Much appreciated. If you have a fix for this, I'm going to feel very dumb for not finding it myself. Feel free to point, laugh, and make fun of me all you would like. Just share the fix. Steve, should I even do the power board that I need a screwdriver for? Or just the video input boards? Okay, reseat those. One more to go, just the ISR. Damn, those things are in tight. I gotta get a screwdriver for that one. Nice pair of CRTs, thank you very much. The one on the right might be up for sale at some point. It's I want to do a video on it though. I really, really like them. So I figured let me get a chance to highlight how cool they are before I get rid of it. Take care, Shadow Mask. Thanks for swinging by. Those things are as finicky as NES carts and an original Nintendo. That's a very good analogy. Who the hell tightens an ISR card with a screwdriver? Okay. This does not want to go back in. It's that 3D printed card next to it. Let me pull that one out. My thumbs are going to be fucking sore later from this. Like a weekend at Voltar's house. I think I got to pull this out all together to get to it. Let me slide this up. All right. Before I put these in, I want to check the chat again, just in case. That's what had him so excited in the bathtub. Yeah, you know. Always kind of cracks me up. If it was a chick that did that, all the responses would be, look at this disgusting whore trying to trick people out of their money. When Voltar does it, it's like, dude, you're weird. But that's it. That's it. Okay. Powering back on. Standby blinking. All right, it's coming up. No twitchy so far. Steve, is it okay for it to degauss like that as soon as it comes back up? Also, I kind of see, oh, that must be from its positioning next to the other CRT. Hold on, let me put that back. Yeah, that's probably fine now. I have screw grease on my hands. I'm going to go wash my hands real quick. No, I haven't forgotten to leave the mic on and peed yet on stream. It's going to happen at some point. I know I'm going to make that mistake, but this is a sink washing my hands. But not because I'm above that. It's going to happen. And you're all going to make fun of me, and I'm going to deserve every bit of it, but that's just a sync. All right, let's come back to the chat and see what we got. You saw the Twitch, okay. Well, so let's fire up a game, and let's see. Let's go to this one, because there's also a test pattern I could play. Twitching during the loading screen is something I've seen a lot on. I think that's MiSTer related. I don't think that's anything else. I haven't plugged in audio yet, which is why audio isn't working. But oh. The longest I let it run, Steve, is about 30 minutes, and I don't think I've seen it happen. I don't think I saw it happen while playing a game. It was really only on the beginning, or on the main screen. So maybe there's something with that main screen and the fuzz that's driving this BVM crazy. But as you can see, it's not doing it here. And it looks quite nice. Oh, I think it twitched for a second there. Yep, all right. So it is still kind of doing it. And I honestly don't remember if it ever did that. I don't think it did when it was on its other side. Let's, yeah, it's still twitching. See that? Let's see if it does it with that on screen. Shane, if you want to send it to me, please, I will gladly do it. I will test it right now on stream, no doubt. Where the heck am I here? Shane, I somehow can't find you on Discord. Oh, wait, no, here you are. If you wouldn't mind, I will gladly test it. Put it back in standard mode and see if it does it? Sure. Yeah, and Shane, I wasn't sure if you confirmed. Do you see, did you see about the, here, let me... Come on. The lack of top bar here. Any idea what's up with that? Now, Steve, if I remember correctly, you told me to always power off the BVM when Tateing it. Power off and unplug. So I'm going to do exactly that. Need that audio cable. I could put this over here temporarily. Sorry for just my ass. And let's pick this thing up, see what happens. That's funny. I just saw your message, Steve. Yep, I remembered. All right, I'm going to do this very carefully. All right, powering it back up. The rotate direction is hard-coded. Okay, well, it would be very, very cool if that could be fixed, just because that's... It almost seems like a mistake, right? Because how would you know if things are connected or not? All right, adding... Steve, I could just rotate it the other direction too. Oh, no, it just twitched again. Yeah, weird. I wonder what was happening, because it definitely hadn't done it. Shane, is that something I could add your code that you dropped in the chat before? Could I do that and it would work in Tate mode? Let's just check to see if that works. You tap menu to skip, right? Yeah. Twitchy. I do have a controller, yeah. No, Shane, I'm sorry. Before you were talking about the main menu, you added a different code to set it in scalar mode. Does that allow for the clock in Tate mode as well? And Steve, should I just try putting it on its other side? There's screws on here, so I just want to remove those. Can you change to one of the calibration channels, like the high 90s? Sure. Channel 9. Invalid channel. How do I do that? Ooh. So do I hit 095 enter? Because if I just maybe... Oh, there we go. All right, let's see if I can get a more solid screen, because it could just be the input card. That is a beta of one of Martin's. All right, that should be a little bit better. We should probably be able to see the Twitch. Let me just. Yeah, that's probably going to be the best. While we're doing that, I could change over to direct video mode. Yeah, Shane, I know we were talking about two things, so I just want to make sure I'm clear so I don't screw this up. I got the everything set correctly for the GBA core, but like 10 minutes ago, I had mentioned the toolbar with the clock and the Wi-Fi, and you said you use these menu settings. And I could scroll up to try to find it. Should I try adding that to the INI file? Yeah, it's oh no, never mind. That was just the basic OSD rotate settings. My apologies. You were right. I missed it. I missed what you meant. Create directory GBA. I'm gonna drop some ROMs in here. And Shane, does your core work in direct video mode if I set it to that? I'm just gonna throw like Mario Kart and maybe one or two other GBA games on there. Shouldn't matter. All right, good. Then that's what I'm going to set up. I've been messing with the INI files. Anybody seen it Twitch yet? So it could just be the input card, which I'd be fine with. I'm sure I'll get another one of Martin's betas in a few weeks anyway, so I could just send this to Shank to verify for us. All right, I'm also going to grab the can you test a console? Sure. I sure can. Let me do that right now before I rotate it back so we're not all craning our heads to the side. Let me put on something with some movement. Yeah, that one. I almost saw a little bit of a discoloration. I wonder if being so close to this thing is messing with it at all. No, I didn't really see anything. It certainly didn't go crazy. Those consumer TVs certainly aren't super shielded or anything like that, though. The only thing is, you know, I'm sure it's not good to have them right next to each other, but that's how they always were in Circuit City, all lined up next to each other. So it can't be bad to have them the way I have them. You know, I am seeing something here. Hold on. Let's, All right. Is there any it seems like there's some discoloration here. No, I guess not. It could just be the angle I'm seeing it at, the fact that we removed the tint on this one, and because the tint was all scratched up. I think this is fine. So I'm going to reboot this MiSTer and see if it twitches like this. Reset. This is the Benfy HDMI to VGA adapter that Kuro found and suggested. Although I'm starting to realize it is much too short for this, so I'm going to need an extension cable. Annoying, but alright. Actually, for now, I could just probably put it on top. Let me, here, we'll just sit this here for some testing. I'll deal with extension cords later. I guess we'll see if it twitches like this and kind of just go from there. And then I'll rotate it and try out that GBA core. But we are in direct video mode at the moment. So, oh, it's twitching again. Huh. That's strange. Well, let me test the core anyway, even if it is twitchy. It doesn't look rotated, Shane. I did. That's the only one I have on here. In my MiSTer INI file. Has added GBA, VGA scalar equals 1, 320, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, it's added in there, definitely. But let me reboot it. Hold on. Let me press the OSD button. Yeah. GBA Tate. Let me also, maybe there's a way to, let me try something here real quick. Somebody should have warned you, Shane. Whenever anything happens on my streams, something goes wrong. It is just a known fact. There's always a disaster on my stream that never happens on anybody else's. Yeah, I gave the other one to Shank. Yeah, let me throw on like Donpachi and see what happens. Well, Twitchy or not, I still want to Tate this thing. So let me just do that real quick. Everything should be in place. Nothing's going to get caught. Excuse my small but mighty butt cheeks. Alright. Move your hair back. Alright. Power back on. Get these rubber isolation pads to keep this thing from sliding. Yeah, that all works nice. I'm going to ask Martin for my money back for the completely free card that he sent me to beta test. I'm going to yeah, I could check the sync on a scope. Odd that this would happen with direct video in that. I wonder if it's the sync combiner circuit built into this card. That could be it. So we didn't see it twitch with the built-in patterns. Did we see it twitch with the Nomad? Let me throw the Nomad back on real quick. All right, let me leave it on that for a second. Let me slap this retro castle case back together. And we could test that too. Shit, why not? This is not a good screen to leave on stream because the all-white screen's making things get a little weird. So let me switch that to like Sonic or something. All right. Let's see if we have twitchiness there. You know, while we leave that running, I'm going to bring the camera back over here for a second because I also think people might be interested in how to put the retro castle cases together. So bear with me for a moment here. Steve, if you have better things to do, by all means, please jump off. I definitely appreciate you kind of taking a look at this with me, though, but I don't want to waste any more of your time. If we've determined there's another issue, I could try to figure that out as well. So thank you, as always, for your help, but I certainly don't want to bug you when you have work to do. All right, retro castle case. This is the one with the RGB to S-video converter built in, and I did switch that over for the I2S module. Okay. And I think I need the top standoffs for these. Which one was it? That doesn't go on the... All right, yeah, we pull these off. We flip those around. Okay, all right. So this is the D10 Nano that was basically out of the box like this. So let me take the RAM module off just for now. And just the orientation of that was Saturn port and HDMI port on the same side. I think I have to swap these. So let me grab that thing again. Yeah, take care, Steven. I'm glad you're feeling better. Hey, the real Phoenix, what's going on? Is this the correct way to do it? Am I losing my mind here a little bit? I think we have to take these off. It's been so long since I built one from scratch. All right, so we put this and that. Then we put the bigger ones between them. Yeah, I think that's what this is. Okay. So you take off the standoffs. You put the taller ones between the I/O board and the DE10. Can you see this on stream well enough? I'm sorry, I'm still trying this new camera and I don't know how I feel about it yet. So we got all of them up here. I'm gonna tighten these down so they don't wiggle left and right. Forgot to take that last one off. All right. Down. Oh, forgot one. This side faces outward. All right, so we have all of these assembled. So at the bottom, that would match where the SD card is. And then everything kind of drops into place around that. So you would drop this in here, and that kind of slides forward into it. We'll just go around the sides as well. What do I do with the sides? Oh, they're hidden back here. All right. So this is the two USB. This is the part with the dip switches. And the back of it. Does anybody remember the original MiSTer cases and how much wildly different it was to put those together than this? I'm not exaggerating. I'm not, and that's also not an insult, right? People were inventing this stuff as they went. That's a compliment to the ingenuity here. That is no dig whatsoever, but it doesn't change the fact that we're 99% done, and we would not have been if it were the original cases. All right, lined up on all sides. Don't forget to put the buttons in, which I always forget, and then I have to reassemble them. Drop the top on that. You just got to creatively massage the stuff together. Just be gentle and patient so you don't break any of the plexi. But it'll all wiggle into place. And if you have trouble getting one side in, start with another side. Because you're basically having to fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 slots on top all together and 8 slots at the bottom at the same time, which is why it's getting a little finicky here at the end. What am I missing or caught on? Everything else is perfect, so I'm actually going to put the screws in here to anchor them down. Not bad after not assembling one of these from scratch for at least 6 months. I'm not going all the way tight, just enough so that this end doesn't flop around. All right, perfect. So now we have it anchored. Room for the SD card, which I'll just plop right back in there. I just have to figure out why this one's being a pain. Probably because it was a prototype or something that I had gotten originally, but do it the opposite and put this up here first. Drop it down. I wonder, is the D10 not all the way pushed in down here? Maybe that was it. I think that might have been it. The pins weren't 100% pushed down. Add the feet. You don't want to tighten these down too much because there's not really anything on the other side. There's no washers on the inside. You could add them if you want, but it's really just to make sure that they're seated properly. It's not to hold everything together. Just the pressure of those pins is what's going to keep all of that together. All right. Let me just use this to push this last piece of plastic into place. One more to go. There we go. I guess I just needed to manhandle it. I think I was just afraid of like crushing it and cracking the case on stream, looking like even more of a moron. So I haven't seen, out of the corner of my eye, I haven't seen Sonic blink out yet. So I think what this could be caused by is a sync combiner in the way that the MiSTer is outputting to this particular BVM. So what I might be able to do is change from composite sync equals 1 to 0 and just send it RGB HV and see if that fixes it. I just want to finish with this super quick. All right, so snug but not too tight. What a fucking idiot. Now I could add the other ones on top, and then this case is fully reassembled. I should definitely cut this stream up so people don't come here for the case assembly and get a wide variety of profanity at the beginning for something that doesn't matter to assembling Retro Castle MiSTer cases or Tate mode talk or anything. I just, this is how my brain works. Doing all this stuff at the same time. All buttons pressed, no problem. A beautiful power button. And now we're back. Now I have an RGB to S-video or composite converter circuit, and that's the one with the variable capacitor. That's the one you've probably seen me do a couple of live streams on. So that's back to the way it should be. The only last piece of the puzzle that needs to be added to this is that USB bridge. So that's back. That is just back to being a standard Retro Castle MiSTer. Let me put this away, and I will try that direct video setting and see. And if Shane has anything for me to test, I will happily do that as well. Oh, sorry, Shane. I think we might. I think that might be it, unfortunately, then. But let's test the. Let's test this out and see. Add composite sync. I'm going to set it to 0, so it's just RGB HV. Direct video is still 1. All right. Let's switch this over. So I will remove that. Let's connect this back, and I will let's see if it still gets twitchy, which it probably will because I haven't restarted yet. Well, never going to do it when I wanted to, huh? Cold reboot. If it doesn't twitch, that means that it was the sync combiner circuit in this 68 Extreme board, and that you should send MiSTer RGB HV to it and let it do the sync combining. So I'll give it a moment, and this stream is coming to an end. So if anybody has any questions whatsoever, let me know. I'm sure this stream's going to get me in a ton of trouble, but that's fine. At least it's the truth. So. Yeah, I mean, this is looking good. Oh, you know what I would like to do? I'll just do it on stream because I'm sure my fellow nerds will want to at least see this. Plug the audio cable in and just see this thing just working. Just done and working. Let me grab another audio cable for it and we'll do that. And anybody has any questions, please let me know. But I think we might actually be done. And let's see how long it takes me to mess with that box on top here. Let's see how long, after saying at the last stream that this should last me for months, and I probably won't need to change it. And now it's been, what, 4 days or something? Let's see how long it takes before that thing gets changed again. Let me grab the audio cable, if I can find the right one. And we'll go from there. Ah, thanks, Koala. Yeah, I mean, you know, this is the difference, right? When I told you I'm going to be absolutely putting yours through the ringer, you reacted, good, I can't wait to learn about it, see what we need to tweak. That's what all of my friends are like. Because they know I'm not, and I'm never out. Well, I was about to, that's a lie. I was about to say I'm never out to make a hit piece. The Intech Gaming one I knew that one was going to suck. But other than that, other than blatant scam products, I'm always out to help to make good things even better, to make amazing things easier to use. That's what I'm good at. It's like the only thing I'm good at. So that's what I'm really into. And when I get together with my friends, like what I said online, I really meant, like, if we're nice to each other about tech stuff, that means we are useless to each other. You can't get better unless people help each other out. So I'm going to continue to be exactly what you see, for better or worse. All right, I think this might actually be the perfect size. Got some short Radio Shack ones here. They look to be shielded. Will it fit up in? Yeah, I think it might. The audio quality of this this soundbar thing is not that great, so I am going to just be using the built-in sound. Although if I ever... Wait, left and right, yeah. Although I might consider doing like some other kind of DAC on this and then put the contos on here. I think I want to use the contos for something else. So, alright, so this is good. Let me center that so it's not sticking out. That is the receiver for the 8-bit DOE controller. So let's leave this on and see what happens. I forget to plug it back in. Every stream. I'll get through something completely complicated, and then it won't work, and I'll kind of shit my pants a little bit, and I'll realize you didn't plug it in. That's funny. Steven, I'll give you 3 weeks before you tweak again. I hope not, but I think you're right. I think you're exactly right that that's exactly what's going to happen. Okay. Let me know if you see any twitching, but I think it's solved. All right, I'll play a quick round or two, but I think the stream is basically over. So any more questions, anything like that, I'll end this on a very positive note and play some of this game.
Game over.
I'm sitting behind the camera to play it, so this is an interesting perspective. And as you all know, I'm not great at these games at all, so.
3, 2, 1, go.
It's like the worst way to watch somebody play a video game. I know. No twitching though. This thing just looks awesome. And I kind of like how it looks with the metal box on top. It looks like this weird Tate robot. Man, the clarity looks absolutely beautiful in direct video mode. This is using a Kuro approved DAC as well, so all the levels should just be spot on. Alright, so I very, very badly completed one level in Dodonpachi. I'm gonna stop embarrassing myself and turn this thing off now. But yeah, this is awesome. So thank you very much for everybody who stayed. Thank you for everybody who patiently sat through my annoying rants. I just I get offended when I'm called a liar or something like that. So I had to as nerdy as possible, kind of lay the smack down on. You don't have to like me, but I'm not a liar. So I think we're all set. I don't know if I like the Elgato face cam for this. I'm going to try it on the podcast for Wednesday and see, but that might be returned. But, yep, it's a successful stream. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for dealing with me when I just feel the need to get this stuff out there. I honestly, I say it every time, but I really appreciate you. And none of this would be fun without you. So thank you all so much. And I'll see you next time, or at the very least, Wednesday for the podcast.